Artist Life. Today we're with Mark and Paul, and we're going to be talking about user stories. Hi.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. So, first things first, what is a user?
User is anyone that interacts with a particular product, service. Doesn't really have to be a website or a web software. User is universally applicable.
I've lost my questions. How would you identify the main user or a user group?
There's several different ways that you can ultimately find out different user groups. One being surveys. So, you could survey, say, 50 people that use a particular service with different questions.
So it's case by case basis, really?
Yeah, I don't think you can ever really point out every single user group and demographic from out of space, apart from there may be some situations where, like if you're going onto a public health website, for example, probably going to be easy to or easier in that application to identify user groups. So you could probably say that one of the types of user is going to be somebody that is sick. But more often than not, probably best to have a little bit of research behind that to identify them. Otherwise, you just stab it in the dark, really.
Yeah.
Identifying either your main users or different personas, different demographics, different user groups that are going to be using a particular product or service or website, whatever the application is. I don't think you're ever going to be able to get a definitive list of stakeholders, because there's always going to be that element of bias from the stakeholders as to what they think their users want or what they think they want. A lot of the time, what somebody thinks they want isn't actually what the users need. Mm-hmm. So one of the fastest and easiest ways of gaining that information is to do some research, especially for functional things as well. Like, let's take in, for example, a well-known publishing platform like Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
So Microsoft Word and tools like that have lots and lots and lots and lots of different features that cater for a wide range of different user groups, different age ranges, so
all the different demographics.
Now, when you're using that particular product, you will sometimes have pop-up that says, we value your opinion. Yeah. Can you help us by filling out a quick survey? Or when it crashes, for example, you get a pop-up. They're all ways that Microsoft, now I'm using Microsoft in this example
just as an example,
it's just an example. They will use that information then to then work on specific issues. Yeah, okay. So that is a form of quantitative research that they're doing, because they're expecting a lot of response from that. Mm-hmm. And then they'll just basically tally up all those different answers that are the same and say, all right, well, this is obviously one area that we need to look at. And same can be applied to websites, even if it's finding 5 people off the street, for example, that that have similar interests. Say it's a beauty website that you're creating for a client. 5 people off the street or in the office block that you're in that have a keen interest in that specific sector. So then you'll ask them questions about that and get their insight, because they will most likely be a more of an accurate representation of the user group that you're wanting to target. Yeah. So I think that doing some proper research, whether it be quantitative, qualitative, whatever it is, but you need data to back it up, because otherwise you are relying again on stakeholders. Yeah. Now, I'm not completely discrediting stakeholders of projects, because they have their own value in themselves, but in the business, they won't necessarily know all of the things that their users
they don't have all do the
or
answers.
do not exactly and no one person does have all the answers.
No, of course not. No.
And that's why you do need to expand on that and expand on your techniques of obtaining that information. But I've found in the past that is one of best techniques for identifying different users, different user groups, and the things that users are expecting from a specific product as well. Okay. Which gives you more of an insight as to to what people are expecting.
So how does this help when you're planning an upgrade for the website then?
Well, the main thing is if you know what if you know who your users are, then you know what to prioritise when you're upgrading the website. So if there's one section of the site that the majority of your users use, then that's the part of the site that you would want to focus on first and prioritise with an upgrade. And there may well be other parts of the site that aren't really used at all, and you would look at those parts of the site and decide if there's a way to improve that or if they need to be upgraded at all.
Which then brings you on to really looking at how we can then use that information to, then when it comes down to it, prepare our user stories.
Yeah. And Paul, do you think there's any examples of user groups that you could give for websites? Or
For websites, it's the most obvious ones is you have sort of regular users of the site, and then you'll have sort of editors and admins of the site.
Right, okay. So why is it important to understand who the website users are? Why is that an important factor of the research if you want?
Because if you're going to create something for the end user at the end of the day, you want to target that particular service at them. So you don't want to be giving them, say, a picture of a lion when somebody's coming onto a website to look at pictures of dogs, for example.
That makes sense. Yeah. So do you need to know what the user objectives are then before you kind of set out to do any editing on a client's website?
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're never going to really be able to identify all of them, I don't think, but you need to identify the main
you need to have an
objectives.
idea.
Yeah.
So when you're building the site, that's what you have in mind. Is that kind of like a main element?
Of course, yeah. Mainly those come from straight at the top, stakeholders to start with. Certainly for the back end sort of things, the stakeholders are the main sort of players, if you will.
Yeah. Do you think of any in particular? Just to be more specific.
Yeah. So for example, you've got say a biggish organisation, different departments, and you've got the marketing department that want to be able to use a specific area of the website, create marketing content. Now, their objectives would be, well, we just want it to work, we need it to be easy, we need to be able to just drag and drop photos in there, etc, etc.
So is it helpful for you to understand what the users are trying to get out of the visit? So like the lion scenario, is it better to know kind of that they're looking for that picture of a dog instead of a lion?
Yeah, of course, because then you can provide a user experience that's going to cater for that, rather than sending them around the world for something that at the end they don't really want to see anyway.
So would you say it's important for the clients to do that research beforehand and then provide you with that, or is it something that you kind of figure out as you go? Because I suppose the clients need to know what their users are looking for. So when they come to you, is that quite an important process?
Yeah, I mean, in most cases we've been approached for either redesigns or rebuilds. So luckily, a lot of the stakeholders and clients have already got that insight to their user groups and demographics that use the particulars.
So why does this help when planning for an upgrade on a website?
If you know what the key things are that the users want to do, those are the things you can prioritise when you're upgrading the website. So if you've got 20 features on a website, you want to make sure that you prioritise your time to focus the most on the features that are used the most. And you can do that if you know what the users want from the website. And there may be things on the old website that nobody uses, nobody likes.
So could you give us a bit of a sum up then as to why identifying your main user groups is really important for your CMS upgrade?
Go on, Paul. I'll hand the baton to you, my friend.
I mean, it's important to know who your users are so that you know what to build for them, essentially.
Thank you for that. So we've covered what a user is, why we need user objectives, and understanding what a user wants when they visit the website. That's brilliant, thank you. So thank you very much for joining me today, Mark and Paul. I'll let you get back to your usual bits and bobs, but thank you very much.
Yeah, I look forward to the next time.